I've praying and seeking what the Lord would have me to preach on tonight, and I was going through Facebook, and I run across a video of Toby Keith, country singer, and something he said just stuck with me. The lady was asking him, how are you doing this? And he said, he said, on the good days, he said, we take faith for granted. He said, but on the bad days is when we really lean on it. He said, but through this, he said, I've really learned that it's every day that you've got to lean on it. And that really stuck with me. We've got to lean on our faith. And she asked him, she said, have you got to that point where you've got peace that passes all understanding? And he said, I have. He said, I have. He said, I finally wrapped my brain around it. And he said, for those that don't have any faith, he said, I don't see how they make it. He said, I don't know how they do it. He said, but he said, this is all in God's hands. He said, it's His way. It's not my way. And that stuck with me. And this is where this came from. Where is yours? Where is yours? Almost every one of us can go back in time and go back in our head and find someone that was a faith influencer. Could have been your mom, your dad, your grandparents, somebody in the church that we looked at and thought all the things that they've been through, and they've never been down. They've leaned on that faith. They've leaned on the Scriptures and believe what the Scriptures say. Because that's where our faith comes from. It's from reading the Scriptures. But you think about those people. Brother Brad, I can remember many a times when I was at Rainsville Church of God, and Brother Heyman would testify. And he would talk about when he was young, walking down the roads, and hearing the women and hearing the men in the corn cribs out in the middle of the cornfields praying. But they wasn't just praying. They was going to meeting. They was bringing heaven down. It wasn't just a lay me down to sleep prayer. And I can remember, Pastor Heyman would talk about him having polio and his mama calling the elders to their house to have a prayer meeting over him. Well, they didn't just come in and pray and leave. They stayed till something happened. They stayed till a move of God came into that place and changed his situation. I've got a question for you. Who's doing that for this generation? Who's doing that for this generation? That's what hit me. Who's doing it? Who are the teenagers in the back talking about? Who are they saying? I can remember going by there and hearing them pray. The students under me. Who are they talking about? Well, I was playing on the PlayStation, and I could hear Mama, I could hear Daddy, I could hear Grandma in another room praying, and it got so intense that I just had to cut the system off. Who's showing that generation? I've got people that I can look back on, and I can thank God for my heritage and the people that I've known and the people that I've been through and I've heard and I've seen. But who are they seeing? Who are they seeing? Who is that person of great faith for this generation? And it's sad to say, but sometimes faith dies from generation to generation. I can look back at those generations before us. Are they going to be able to say, I seen it? in the generations. Where are we lacking? What are we not doing that they did to see the moves? We see people, Pastor Tom named person after person after person that needs a move of God. Where is our faith? Where is yours? Where is mine? Where is our faith? But what I want us to look at is the children of Israel faced a similar situation like this. The first point I want to look at is in Joshua chapter 1 and verse 1. I want you to think about it. There's a mission for every generation to fulfill. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses my servant is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. The faith of this last generation, just like the ones I was talking about, is useless if we don't pick it up. It's useless just to talk about it. Oh, I remember when that happened. But what's happening now? Why is the world in the shape that it's in? Why are we having to face issues that we're facing now? Where is your faith? God says, the guys that you looked up to your whole life, they're gone. They're not here anymore. It's up to you. It's what God is telling every one of us. I used them in their time. I used them when I needed to use them. But I need you to have your faith ready so that when I call on you and I ask you to do something, that you're willing to step out and you're willing to make the move that needs to be made. And not wonder and try to go around the situation. He said, I need you ready now. Is your faith ready right now? If something terrible was to happen in your family right now, is your faith where it needs to be, that you can reach the throne of heaven and see something happen? See the miraculous happen in your family. That's what God's wanting to know. Are you ready? Is your faith ready? And there's a promise for every generation to believe. Verse 3 says, every place that your soul, the sole of your feet, shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the lands of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not be any man be able to stand before thee all thy days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. God didn't promise your experience would be the same as anyone else's. He just promised that the relationship would be the same. I will be with you like I was with them. I want us to look at Moses, somebody they were looking back to, that Joshua was looking to. He was looking at Moses. Moses was there for him all of his life. But you think about it. Moses had a burning bush experience. He had a Red Sea parting experience. He had the 10 plagues experience. He had the 10 commandments experience. And he had the 40 days in the mountain alone with God experience. Joshua didn't have none of that. He could just look back and say, wow, what a life. What faith. And it was simply Moses saying, okay, you lead me and I will follow. And that's where Joshua had to get to the point of saying, okay, it's time for me to step up. It's time for me to be a big boy. It's time for me to let people follow me because I'm following him. Every one of those kids back there ought to be able to look at me, look at my life, and say, I want to be like him. Can I say that, though? Am I doing everything I can do to be as close to God as I possibly can every day? Am I doing that? Are you doing that? Somebody is looking at you. Somebody is watching you 24/7. And what are they saying? I want my life to be like Pastor Jeff's, because I see what God has done in his life, and I want God to do the same in mine. Are we there? Or can we say, oh me? Which I say that quite often. I say, oh me. You know, and the last 2.5 years has been tough. A lot of things has changed. A lot of things we've went through. Brad, you know what it's like. But you know, I've learned. Have I always been perfect? No. Have I made mistakes? Yes. But in those trials, in those temptations is where you learn. Have you got it? Or do you need to get it? That's the only two things. You've either got it or you've got to get it. And through those situations and through those things that we've been through as a family, I've learned that I need to get it just a little more. I need to buckle down. I need to straighten up and do the things that God wants us to do. There's a danger for every generation to face. Verse 6 says, be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto thee, unto thy fathers, to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe, to do according to the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thine hand, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. 9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Courage, what is it? My simple statement for courage, it's just faith with a sword in its hand. Faith with a sword in its hand. Be of good courage. Yes, we're going to face stuff. Yes, we're going to go through battles. Yes, we're going to fight. But be of good courage. Lean on your faith. That's what it says. Every word that's in this book, is where we get our faith, where we get our strength, where everything that we need comes from. And there is a time for every generation to move. There is a time for every generation to move. Verse 10, Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the host, and command the people, saying, Prepare your victuals, for within 3 days you shall pass over this Jordan, to go into a prosperous and purpose the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. All I can simply say tonight is, when it's time to go, go. When it's time to go, go. God will lead you. God will let you know when it is your time. Set yourself a deadline. He came through and he said, be ready in 3 days. And we're moving. Get your stuff packed. Is your stuff ready? Is your stuff packed? Is your faith ready? Is your faith packed? I know this is not a barn burner, but it's just something that God has dug into me and showed me where we're lacking. We can all stand a little more faith. We can all stand it. Yes, terrible news is going to come our way. Yes, diverse situations are going to come our way. But are we going to stand with courage, or are we going to fold? We've got to square our shoulders and be ready to fight. Face the big challenges. That's how we grow. Face the big challenge. Don't run from the big challenges. The devil likes to put things in front of us. We think about Job. How did Job survive all that he went through? Losing so much. Even his friends and the family that was alive were telling him, don't know what you done, but you might as well just go ahead and curse God and die, because you've done something horrible. And he had done nothing wrong but being faithful. I want you to realize, and I want you to understand, that there's going to be times that you're going to be going through situation, and it's not because of anything that you've done. Just like with Job. It wasn't anything he had done. But Satan had come to God and said, let me try him. If you let me try him, he's going to turn his back on you. Have we ever thought some of the situations that we face, some of the situations that we go through, if Satan's not doing the exact same thing? Yes, I know he is a great man of God, but if you'll let me test him, if you'll let me do this to him, he will turn his back on you. And how many times do we look, well, what did I do wrong? Where have I messed up? It's time to get our eyes off of us and get our eyes on him. It's not always about us. It's not always about me. We need to find ours. Where is your faith? And while I was going through this, there was some lyrics went through my head. And I'm not going to sing them, so y'all can be thankful for that. So, but I want you to listen to the words of this song. And everybody's going to know it real quick. The song says, life is easy. When you're up on the mountain and you've got peace of mind like you've never known. But then things change. And you're down in the valley. But what can we not do? Don't lose faith, for you were never alone. And then you talk of faith when you're up on that mountain. But talk comes so easy when life's at its best. Now it's down in the valleys of trials and temptations. That's where your faith is really put to the test. And then we know the chorus. For the God on the mountain, He's the God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. And the God of the day, He is still God in the night. Where is yours? Where is yours? I've got to work on mine. I'm not standing up here like this has nothing to do with me. This is something that God has put in my heart for this entire church. Yes, God has begun to sprinkle His blessings on this church. Probably more so over the last couple of months than it has been in years since I've been here. And I thank God for that. But what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? Are we letting this increase our faith in every situation? You know, there's somebody else that amazes me. And I don't mean to embarrass him. If I do, I'm sorry. But I've been watching Roger Dix. Everything that he's gone through, every time I've talked to him, I have never seen him down. He always says, but God's got it. But God's got it. Everything he's been through. You know what he's just went through. I don't know that I would be at church tonight. He come in a few weeks ago on a cane. Couldn't hardly walk at all. But where was his faith? If I could just get to church. If I could just get to church. If I could just get to God. How many of us my age would say, sorry, I just can't make it today. And then we look at some of the older generation, what they do to get to this house. What they do. What they struggle through day in and day out. But they're going to come. They're going to worship. They're going to praise. They're going to do whatever they can do to increase their faith. Praise is the greatest faith builder there is. You have to praise your way through situations. Even though it looks dark, even though it looks dim, even though it looks grim. Praise your way through the situations that you're in. Because He's always with you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. Never. And I'm going to do something that I very seldom do, but I just feel that it's necessary tonight. Is Brad, if you would come and play something on the piano, I'm going to ask everybody in here to come up front. Whether you're going through a situation, whether you're in the valley or you're on the mountain, there's somebody around you that needs what faith you've got to help them. So we're just going to come gather in this altar, and we're going to pray one for another and ask God to build our faith, to build us up and encourage us. Because we've got to have our faith to make it. Doesn't matter where we're at, we've got to have faith. So if you don't care, I invite all that will. Just come gather around this altar. Let's spend just a little bit of time praying and asking God to help us build our faith and to find our faith so that we can help someone else.